everybody, and welcome to the first edition of SHOREVIEWDEN. Dennis here, and today we're taking a look at a game featuring one of my all-time favorite characters from Todd McFarlane's legendary comic book, Spawn. Now, to this day, Spawn is killing it on the comic book front, but during the height of his popularity in the 90s, he went on to spawn a successful toy line, a top-notch animated series, a questionable live-action movie, and appeared in a number of video games. The best being Capcom's arcade game, but nothing has come close to delivering a true-to-form Spawn experience as Spawn Armageddon.
My only memory is the burning of flesh.
The story presented here is straightforward and inspired from the first 100 issues of the comic book. Now, our protagonist, for the unfamiliar, is the former assassin Al Simmons, betrayed and murdered by his employer and sent to hell, where he sold his soul to the devil. In exchange, he would get to once again see his wife Wanda. The devil honored the deal, returning Simmons to Earth, but of course, there's a catch. Simmons returned 5 years later as a Hellspawn, and the love of his life had remarried. In the midst of searching for answers, he becomes caught up in a war between heaven and hell.
A love that was taken from me by the Prince of Hell. It was easy. You're my bitch.
Let's talk about the gameplay. The combat in particular is the best part and is in the vein of Devil May Cry. A good fit for Spawn, I feel, which is only exemplified by the fact that Spawn has more emphasis on the gunplay. Now, critics back in the day heavily criticized the game for not being as smooth as those other hack-and slashers, and that's true to an extent. The animations can feel a little more stiff, especially at first, and there isn't much combo variety. However, to this game's benefit, instead of your attacks being fast and flighty, they made your attacks weighty and powerful, slamming your axe down on demons or blasting them into pieces with your nectoplasm. Or my favorite thing to do, ripping them apart with your chains, which is satisfying as all hell. Armageddon features a lengthy campaign with around 25 missions to complete. After each one, you're scored based on how many enemies you killed, collectibles you uncovered, and other various factors. And it's also here where you can upgrade Spawn using all the souls that you collected from demons. They can be used to boost his health or nectoplasm, buy ammo, or upgrade his massive arsenal. And you have a hell of a lot of guns to play around with. Machine guns, shotguns, rocket launchers, you name it. In addition to blowing things up with your nectoplasm, you can also use it to give yourself a temporary shield, a speed boost, or unleash Hell's Fury for some decent damage. Each mission is almost arcade-like in nature, and I actually think it would have been a bit better had they gone fully in that direction, since you're hardly doing any platforming anyway, and the platforming you are doing is not all that great. The missions get pretty brutal too, with random difficulty spikes and a lack of checkpoints in certain spots. But outside of those times, the game isn't overly difficult. The visual presentation holds up pretty well. Now admittedly, I did play on PC to get it nice and clean, and for the convenience of capturing this footage. But here you can see the original PS2 and the Xbox versions, and the PS2 version is a bit blurrier and more jaggy, while the Xbox version does have smoother textures and is looking pretty crispy. Now the level designs themselves aren't anything special, but they are pretty befitting as they have you going through places like the back alleys of New York City to hell itself. The atmosphere is lacking in some areas, but it is colorful and moody, and I actually do like these cool, trippy lighting effects. Some of the other details are awesome, like how your axe becomes drenched in blood after kicking demon ass. After all, it wouldn't be Spawn without the excessive violence. The music. This is where I was a little disappointed. The best track in the game is the intro featuring Marilyn Manson, and I'm typically not into his music, but I wish the rest of the game had that sound. Instead, what we got here is a poor man's sonic mayhem. Generic guitar loops with no build, no catchy riffs, nothing that amplifies the action on screen. Even in boss battles, the music remains flat and at best serviceable. With the worst part of the presentation out of the way, the best part is the fact that the legendary actor Keith David reprised his role as Spawn. Having voiced him in the awesome HBO animated series, it goes without saying he did a bang-up job. The man's voice is synonymous with Spawn.
What the hell are you? Spawn.
Overall, there's a decent game in Spawn Armageddon if you have the patience to find it. Being a fan of the character, though, really is the driving factor here. Even then, the lack of polish will be felt, and you can't help but wonder what this game could have been had it been in more capable hands. The Devil May Cry formula is actually a perfect match, I feel, so I do like the approach they took. The heavy attacks and gunplay serve the character well too. Exploding enemies and seeing the bits and pieces fly as you rip them to shreds. I just would have liked to see them go even further with it. Go all in, making Spawn a powerhouse. Forget about the combos completely and spongy enemies, and just have more stylish kill animations and some devastating killing blows with the axe. Still though, I had fun playing through the game. If you like action games, this one might be worth a look. For the unacquainted, it's pretty average, with some interesting ideas. For comic book fans, and especially Spawn fans, it's excellent.